Hey everybody, Rich here, Rich's Custom Marine and Auto. Hey, today we're working on a 2012 Chevy Suburban, and I just want to take you guys through something here real quick. So this Suburban came into the shop with a transmission that was going into neutral. Customer would drive it down the road and it would go through the gears fine, get into high gear, and then just go into neutral. And if they coasted to the side of the road, shut the ignition off, waited 10 or 15 seconds, and started it back up, it would go for a little ways and do the same thing again. So after we pulled the pan off of this one, which I'll embed a picture here so you can see what the pan looked like and the magnet, this transmission had to be rebuilt. It's about 170,000 mile rig. So it's about the life of, these have a 6L80 transmission. So 6L80, 6L90, they about 170,000 is actually pretty darn good. So, but what I want to show you guys today, in particular, is we put a inline transmission filter here, so that, of course, when you have a transmission rebuilt, you need to make sure that you use cooler clean, get your radiator where the cooler lines go, get that all flushed out, because you want to get all that debris and all of that stuff out of there as best you can. So what I did is I flushed the radiator with a full can of cooler clean, and then blew it out with air both ways until I didn't see any more of the cooler clean mist coming out. And then I hooked a line up to a funnel, and actually you can kind of see right there in the center, that's the lower line coming off the radiator. I took a funnel, and what I did is I flowed a quart of transmission fluid. These have to have Dextron 6. Anything else will not, the transmission life will be severely shortened. So make sure you're using Dextron 6. But I let a whole quart of fluid go flowing through there just to flush any of the cooler clean out. I did replace the lines, and I did that as part of the process of installing this filter setup. So looking up in there, you can see where I mounted it. The way I mounted it is there's a hole in the frame there, so on the other side, let's see if you can see there's a hole right there. Same hole in the frame over here. I just sandwiched a plate up there inside with I drilled and tapped the hole, and then I used a countersunk bolt so that I could sandwich that other plate with the bolts spot welded on there, or not spot welded, but tack welded on the back side that hold this bracket up in place. So guys, if you do this job, you want this filter to be on the return line. That way you make sure that anything going through the cooler is getting filtered before it goes back into the transmission. So what we did here is, so the transmission fluid comes from this line, goes up, and then where that line disappears up in there, that metal line goes to the bottom of the cooler, like I stated earlier. The pressure from the transmission pushes the fluid up through that cooler, and then it comes down this rubber line, which is this one right here. And then of course it goes into our filter, out of the filter, and then we've got a nice arc there on that line, and then going back to the hard line again and heading back to the transmission. So this is a pretty nice clean setup. I think it'll work pretty good for this application. The other thing is, this vehicle has it's actually a plastic skid plate that goes on there, and in this area right along here is kind of the edge of the skid plate, so you could actually just take the flap and push it back a little bit and then unscrew this filter and change it. So don't even really have to take the skid plate off. I just took it off, of course, for the install. So if you have a vehicle that's not a Chevrolet, I don't know all of them, guys, so sorry about that, but I know some Dodges, some Subarus, they have a thread-in filter either on the side of the transmission or up inside the pan, like Dodge does it up inside the pan. You don't actually need this. Now, I suppose you could do it. It's not going to hurt anything. I don't think it'll do anything for pressure-wise to hurt anything. But definitely, if you have a Chevrolet vehicle that's got a 4L60 or it looks like a 6L80 is the same way. Of course, they have the screen that's in the pan. All transmissions have that. Those are a pretty large micron, like 60, I want to say 60 is what I read they are. Where like this filter here we're looking at is about 17. You know, it's going to pick up some really small particles. Also, for an interval, you'd probably want to change this filter when you change the engine oil. So, you know, nowadays with the computer generated oil change times based on how you drive the vehicle, which that's another video we'll have for another day, but I'll just tell you I don't agree with it. No vehicle on the road should be going 10,000 miles without an oil change. So I will just tell you, like 5,000 would be cheap insurance just to change that filter out. They're a fairly inexpensive filter. You can use, this is a PH 253. Might be able to see it upside down there, which is also a Wix 51515, available at every Napa, everywhere. And then, of course, online, you know, Amazon and Rock Auto and other places like that, you can get that filter. So, that's going to be it for this one, guys. Kind of important, you know, it can help keep your transmission alive, and probably even more important if you've had the transmission expire, like this one did. You know, it just finally wore out, and we think what was happening was the material that was in the pan was actually making the shift solenoids hang up, and that's what was giving us the false neutral issue. So, but if you don't have an inline filter on your Chevy vehicle, it's definitely worth looking into it. You're probably looking at, you know, you can buy the Duraley. That's probably about $90 or $100 for this kit. This one is as it shows here, it's a lube refiner, and it was about $50. So, and really, you know, you're paying for the rubber hoses, and you're paying for that mount piece and the block right there. So, but to go back to what I was saying, you know, if you've had a transmission expire and you're putting your nice rebuilt transmission or even a replacement transmission or whatever way you've decided to go, you probably need to go ahead and put one of these on and install it. You know, this won't take you that long. It comes with screws. You could just drill 3 holes in the frame rail there and put the self-tapping screws in. I just didn't want to do that on this customer's vehicle. I didn't have a need to. So You know, it would have been a lot faster. Just drill three, like, oh, I don't know, 3/32 holes or 3/16 holes, something like that. Probably 3/16. They were pretty big self-tapping screws, and run them in there, and then just know which lines. You know, you can look it up online, but that can get confusing too. So, you know, if your vehicle still runs and operates, start it up, and of course the line that's warmer will be the one going to the cooler. So you know right away the one that's feels cooler to the touch will be your return. That's the one you want to go to. So that's going to do it for this one, guys. Thanks, Rich's Custom Marine and Auto. We appreciate you guys. We appreciate your comments, your likes, your follows. Please subscribe to support the channel, and we'll see you on the next one.